I believe one of the first pieces that we're going to show is some art from the Burger King kids meal that we did, which was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So Rachel did one of the big paintings for the bucket. So, I mean, you can walk us through kind of thought process, what you did, how you came up on this.
Oh, look, you've got all the steps that went in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we went through a lot of different design iterations and figuring out what we were going to do, and we ultimately landed on wanting to do sort of like a face-off image with the plants on the lawn and the zombies kind of swarming around and them really defending the home base. So we did quick sketches, quick colors, and then we ended up landing with the final painting.
Boom!
Transition.
There it is.
Woo! And this one's the uncensored version. This one.
Yes. Do you want to explain the uncensored version?
Yeah. So when we were talking with Burger King, they wanted to make sure that everything was super PG and kid appropriate. And in the back, you can see that there's a zombie with underwear on his head.
Which, by the way, we're not condoning underwear on your head.
Please do not run around
Not
with
in
underwear.
public anyway.
Put it really clear.
Do that in your own time.
And then in the front, there's an imp smacking another zombie, which they weren't super fond of.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we get it.
It's
but
too close to his zombie eye.
There's a lot of violence happening.
Yep, a lot of violence.
I mean, we know the imps. They're a little bit, willy-nilly. So I think if we go to the next image, that's sort of the more, so you can see the change, the censored version.
change. Yep.
Yeah. We didn't have to put black bars or anything.
Yeah.
But,
So now he's moved his hand to away from the guy's face. That
And
was
the
too
underwear-
aggressive.
the underwear
And the
is
underwear
not-
has just simply been removed.
Yeah, which was
Turned into a hose.
drastic change. Concept art is something that you do fairly on the regular. So you get when we sat down with Garden Warfare 2, it was probably middle production somewhere.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas that we had for an extension of the Backyard Battleground was the character areas.
What happens in the process is game designers usually block out a space, which is the space that you're actually going to run around in game. And they hand it off to us, and then we draw on top of it to kind of flesh it out and make it look like something instead of orange boxes.
So this is,
go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so just so people can associate it with what they're playing, so what location is this?
This is the Rose area.
Yes, this is Rose's castle. So you get this, and then I believe if we go to the next image, this is sort of what you did to build an actual castle.
Yeah. So we drew the castle on top of the orange boxes. Originally, we were going to have exteriors, but the thoughts and directions changes as the project went on.
Yeah.
We're thinking of doing like a little mini golf course or something on the outside, something really silly.
But also, I think, in doing the exterior, it kind of helped you figure out the interior,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So no matter if we end up using it or not, it's always great to actually figure out what that means.
The floor plan,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
aesthetic.
Sizing,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think if we go to the next image, we'll
And just
show
so
a little
people
bit
know,
more.
what they're looking at is Backyard Battleground without the textures. So this is all.
Totally. It's more just the space
Yes.
without the actual dressing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So walk us through. So this is the interior.
Yeah, so this is another shot of orange boxes where I drew over with line work on the left, where you see, drawing all the pieces and then kind of doing like mood and color and finish work to really plump up her space
like
and make
that,
it
plump
feel
up
like
her
her.
space, yep.
Yeah. There's a little Grandpa Rose painting. That's
Yep.
her dad, her curmudgeonly Grandpa Rose dad.
Amazing.
Grandpa Rose. Now, so also this to us when we sit down and think about it is the storytelling, right? So
Yeah.
we know what space the designers need to walk the players through, but when Rachel sits down and comes up with this kind of concept, it's telling the story. It's Rose's castle. So what would Rose have in her castle? What would her throne look like? So that was a lot of things that Rachel tackled. So I want to make sure we keep moving so we have time for everything. So if we go to the next image.
People are loving the Grandpa Rose portrait.
Yeah. We're gonna have to have a Grandpa Rose contest, I think.
Oh,
So-
Citron
Yeah.
ship.
So what are we looking at here?
Yeah, this is the Citron base that we designed. We wanted everything to be just as round as him and as sleek and cool and futuristic as him. So he's got his kind of orange wedge console at the top, and he's got his ramps that he can roll around on.
Yep, absolutely. And
Super neat.
I think if anyone plays the game, you can see actually where every one of those pieces comes together. So if we want to go to the next one. So this is a familiar bit of landscape. What are we looking at here?
This is the corn base. Woo! Kernel Corn. Woo!
Yep. So honestly, I know some of the direction. Obviously, when you got that gameplay space from the designer, obviously you were then thinking about, okay, where would Kernel Corn live? Is it on a farm? Kind of what would be on the farm? Originally, there were some turrets involved.
Yeah, turrets, bunkers, because you were originally going to be able to walk up to these areas. So we were thinking about doing the barn silos as turrets that would snipe the zombies as they came up to the gate.
Yep.
Having the barns and the military bunker and kind of the military truck, all of that stuff to
So
keep
we're
it.
mixing a farm with a military bunker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good mix. And then you can see the Butterhawk parked quietly in front of the barn there, which is always nice. So
My favorite.
Let's go to the next one. I know that's your favorite. I was trying to get past it quickly. So then, what are we looking at here? This may be familiar to some people.
Yeah, this is the Imp Mech base.
Yep.
The original design,
the original area.
garage.
Yeah, the original garage. So you have the areas where the mechs worked on. You've got this little tiny reception room in the back where there was going to be an imp sitting in a chair with all of these papers on the phone.
Right.
You know, being a great receptionist like Imp is.
Imp is a good receptionist. This is news. This is
He's
news
a
on the street.
fantastic receptionist.
That's great. So let's go forward one more. Now this is okay. So this
one
is
of my
something.
favorite.
Yeah, this is something different, and I really wanted to make sure that Rachel was able to talk to you guys about this because I mean this is one of my favorite things in the game, and I know that when we first started talking about it, we're like, what? So when we sat down with Rachel to kind of come up with the idea of this mashup of Mass Effect and Plants vs Zombies, let people in on sort of your thought process. Like how did we get here to our beloved Z7 Imp?
Yeah, oh man, this was so fun. So one of the things that we did first is we really looked at all of the iconic armor sets of the Mass Effect universe and all of the key art that they have and kind of, you know, that iconic Shepard. So we grabbed, you know, elements of his helmet, elements of his belt, the red and white stripes on the arm to really tie it together. And then we had to kind of theme out some things that were very much Imp with the butt blasters.
People are loving the short shorts that he's wearing.
Yeah.
And loving the booties.
He's got to have a little bit of high waters.
Yeah.
He's got to be a little bit of silliness.
There's a bit of humor that happened there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do have a question here
Yeah,
for
okay.
Rachel. So,
All right.
so we have a question. Epic World of Games says, Rachel, how long does it take you to design a character area like that?
A character area. Oh gosh.
There's probably some dependencies, right?
Yeah, so you have to check in with the art directors and everyone.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, the actual sketching process where you do lots of different iterations is probably about a day.
Yep.
And then to the painting quality that I brought it up to, it's probably another day.
Yeah.
But with all of the feedback rounds and stuff, it could be up to a week, but you're doing multiples of those at a time.
Great, thank you.
And honestly, one of the bigger parts of that, and I know Rachel would agree, is that it's communication through the process, right? So you
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
waiting for someone to feedback. You also want to hear what the designers think.
Yep.
And you need to talk to the art director. So it's kind of a group think. But yeah, and also Rachel's pretty fast. I mean, you've seen Alex on here as well. She's very fast, so I'm lucky to have some very fast artists on my team. But it depends also on the artist a little bit. But let's quickly go to the next image because not only obviously did you design the Imp, but also the Z7 mech.
Bam!
Yeah.
Boom. So can you walk us through this a little bit just to kind of let everybody know what you're thinking?
Yeah, so this was kind of loosely a combination of the Shepard armor with the Atlas mech, with our, you know, Imp mech, and then figuring out little ways to have a fun spin. So having, you know, the traffic cone Omni tool instead of your standard Omni tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing in the M7 Lancer as kind of a inspiration for his gun.
And then mixing it all
And
in
the
the Super
iconic,
Bowl.
and mixing it up in a big ol', you know, Mass Effect Plants vs Zombies gumbo.
So yeah, we love gumbo. It's delicious.
Yeah.
This looks amazing.